Welcome to day 72 of the 75 Hard Challenge YouTube edition. And today I just wanted to talk to you beginner to beginner in watercolor and give you a few tips that helped me and that I took a little too long to realize. So yeah, I want to help you not take that long. So the first one is you don't need an expensive kit to get started. This is my current kit. Okay, it's a Moline one and it's a kids kit. I bought it for really cheap and it's still here, thriving, a little dirty, but thriving. Of course, I really want to get those professional kits and those with bunch of colors. Yes, I would love to, but right now, this is amazing for me. I know that there are two ways that watercolor comes in, and one is the palette with these little tablets of paint, and the other one is when they come in a tube and you can squeeze them out and mix them with water. I feel like this is a little more practical than the tubes because, I mean, this one already comes with a palette, so duh. For beginner, I would probably recommend this. The second one is that you need a very thick paper to work with watercolor because otherwise your paper is just gonna crumble. I have this sketchbook that I got for college, okay? It's a little old and it's practically, there are these many pages left. I'm panicking. And can you see that it's a very thick paper? I don't know if you can tell on video, but listen to it. It's not as thick as it should be, but it still gets the job done. I mean, I do all my watercolor here and the pages warp a little bit, but it's still okay to use. I think it's 300 grams, the type of paper that you have to use for watercolor. If I'm not mistaken, it's 300 grams, but there's already sketchbooks for just watercolor that has the right weight to the paper, so you can look for those. One thing that I have to say is please wait for your layers to dry, otherwise your paint is gonna smear and it's gonna mix with other colors, and that's not what you want, especially if you're painting something very specific. For example, I have this coffee cup, right? Do you think I wanted to add this drip? No, I didn't wait for the layer to dry, and then this brown started coming into my very beige coffee cup. So I was like, let's pretend it was intentional and do a little spill. And you can still see right here that I didn't wait for it to dry either. That's why the brown is spreading a little bit right here. Yeah, please wait for your layers to dry. You can use a hair dryer, you can use a fan, you can just blow on it. So be patient. Something I used to do when I was a beginner in watercolor, I mean, I still am, but a long time ago, I only mixed them in their little designated little circles. But I found that if you mix it with more water, it's gonna be more sheer, but you're gonna have more control over your colors. And so every time you dip your paintbrush into water, you bring it here, just get a palette and spread it a little bit and then add more water, because if you just use straight from here, it's going to be way too concentrated and it's going to be way too strong, and sometimes that's not the effect you want to go for. Mix your colors with more water in a separate palette. It helps a lot to build layers and to build confidence with colors too. So the next one is a little bit more advanced, I would say, but if you're wanting to do a more gradient feel, or you want to spread the color without having to go back in and dip it in and go back to the point, you know, this back and forth, you can wet your paper first with just water, and then you get your mixture of color plus more water, and then you can start spreading it. You will see that the color will just, it's magical and it's satisfying, but it's a very specific use. If you really want to do a gradient, or if you just want to paint a bigger area, that's a really good technique. And last but not least, practice a lot. I've been doing watercolor on my channel in this challenge. I've painted more in these last 70 days than since I started watercolor, so I've learned a lot. I am really proud of the things I've painted, and it just made me like watercolor even more, even the mistakes. But this is a test. This is also a really good tip. get yourself a sheet just to practice your brushes, your colors. See, right here, I practice the intensity of the color. And then this is brush control. Again, this was a test of me wetting the paper first and then adding the color. I did a lot of testing, and I would recommend you to do one as well, because the more you practice, the more you get a sense of how the watercolor works. And since water is a very non-controllable element, it can get a little tricky to use watercolor, but I love it more every day. So this is my last one. But yeah, I hope these tips helped. I am really excited for your watercolor journey. It's so relaxing and it's so satisfying to paint with watercolor. If you haven't watched the other days from this challenge, there's a playlist linked below ready for you to binge. Some of them are watercolor related, so maybe you can check those out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.